Hello and welcome once again to some more Snooker 19. This is part 2 of my What If Mark Selby Was to Retire video. As you can see, we have done 2 seasons so far. Mark Selby still rooted at 128 in the rankings. Now, very interesting things happened last time. Probably, different to what I expected. I think Ronnie O'Sullivan was the most successful player of them all. He's still leading the way very much at the top at number 1. Mark Williams is there at number 2. Neil Robertson at number 3. And Judd Trump number 4. You can see Karen Wilson has pushed into the top 8. Ding Junhui is top 6 as well. I think he won the Tour Championship or something similar. Dave Gilbert into the top 10 as well. Now today we're going to do a further 2 seasons. We're going to see what exactly goes on in the story of this video, and I'm planning on doing a few more of these videos. It went down really well. You guys enjoyed it. I'm going to see what happens if Ronnie retires, what happens if Judd retires. We'll all see over the coming couple of weeks. But here we go, the Kaspersky Riga Masters first tournament of this episode, and Ronnie O'Sullivan versus Judd Trump. So 2 of the dominating players, and Judd Trump wins it by 5 frames to 3. Here comes the Yushan World Open. Ronnie O'Sullivan versus Mark Williams this time, and Mark Williams wins it by 10 frames to 5. So there are plenty of tournaments that it has just featured only a few different players, so I'm really curious to see what will happen. Certainly the Paul Hunter Classic, let's see what goes on in this tournament. Ronnie versus Mark, and Ronnie wins this one 4 frames to 3. 6 Red World Championship, obviously the Season 1 prize money is going to be coming off as well. Ronnie versus Mark again, Ronnie wins at 8-2. Now the Shanghai Masters, first invitational event, proper invitational event of the season. Ronnie versus Neil Robertson. Now Neil Robertson did win a Triple Crown event last year. He won some of the Coral Series as well. And he got very close in this one. 11-10 Ronnie wins the Shanghai Masters. Indian Open then. Robertson versus Williams, and Williams wins it 5 frames to 2. China Championship this time then. That's going to be Mark Allen versus Ronnie O'Sullivan. Now Mark Allen hasn't featured too much, and he may continue to not do so because Ronnie O'Sullivan has won that 10 frames to 2. Wonderful tournament for Ronnie there. So we will do a rankings check after the first Home Nations event, so we'll see what the European Masters has to give us. Ronnie versus Mark Williams. Ronnie wins it 9-6. English Open, so first Home Nations event. We will check the rankings after this. English Open, so Ronnie versus Neil Robertson, and Neil Robertson wins it 9-8 in the final. So I think, I think there have been some interesting results. You can see at the bottom there still Mark Selby in 128th. So Ronnie still leading the way. Not much has changed in terms of prize money at all. In fact, the top 8 is exactly the same, apart from Higgins and Allen, I think, have swapped around. Dave Gilbert 9th, Bingham 10th, Lazowski 11th, Hawkins 12th, Maguire 13th. Now this is interesting. Ali Carter has moved above Sean Murphy. So Ali Carter was the new entrant into the top 16 when we dropped down. So Sean Murphy has dropped to 16th. So that is interesting. We'll scroll down, see if there's any movement here. Peter Ebden 37th, I believe that's where he was at the end of last episode. So there you go. Jimmy White was 100 odd, and he still is. So moving into the International Championship then. Neil Robertson versus Mark Allen. The type of match that could change the complexion if Mark Allen wins it. But he hasn't. Neil Robertson wins it 10 frames to 7. So that's a couple of big tournaments Neil has already won. Here comes the champion of champions. Neil Robertson versus Ding. Very interesting final there. Robertson wins it 10-6. But nice to see Ding in those big events. So here comes the Northern Ireland Open. Ronnie versus Neil. And Neil wins it. That's the second Home Nation tournament he's won, and the second time he's won it 9-8 against Ronnie O'Sullivan. Here comes the Betway UK Championship then. First Triple Crown event. Neil Robertson is the defending champion, but it's going to be Mark Williams and Ronnie O'Sullivan contesting it, and Ronnie wins it 10-6. Stuart Bingham with a 147 there. So we'll check what the rankings have done. I don't think they'll have done much. Ronnie O'Sullivan, the gap has closed certainly between him and Mark Williams, and Neil Robertson catching up now. 1.8 million he's on. Mark Allen is still in 5th, Ding Junhui 6th, John Higgins 7th, Kyron Wilson 8th. Anything further down? Luca Bracell is now dropped to 16th, Ali Carter up to 14th. So can we potentially see an Ali Carter going into the top 10, and will we start seeing him featuring in the finals of tournaments? Who knows, as we go into the Scottish Open. So here we go. What's going to happen here? Mark Allen versus Ronnie, and Mark Allen wins it. That could be one that maybe changes the complexion of what's going on. So Mark Allen wins that Home Nations event. Ronnie has lost in all 3 finals of the Home Nations so far. German Masters qualifier, obviously nothing to be told from that. Championship League 1, Ali Carter versus Ronnie. This is what I'm talking about. Ali's now playing in this Championship League 1, but he doesn't beat Ronnie. Angry Ali does not manage it there. Williams versus Kyron Wilson, 3-1. Daffabet Masters now. For second Triple Crown event, obviously only 16 players at this tournament. Robertson versus Trump in the final. So Trump hasn't really featured too much in this season so far. I think he won the Riga Masters, but here comes the Daffabet Masters, and it is Judd Trump that wins it 10-9 in the decider there. Very, very interesting. So Championship League, Wilson versus Robertson. Robertson wins it. Kyron Wilson has been to 2 finals so far, and he's in a third, and he can't quite get this victory. It's crazy. But here's the German Masters, Williams versus Trump. Williams wins it 9-5. Lazowski with the highest break there. So Coral World Grand Prix, Robertson versus Ding. So this is a repeat of the Champion of Champions final. Would be a big one for Ding to win, and he doesn't manage it. 10-7 for Neil Robertson, but he must be closing in on number 1 after the Welsh Open. We'll have a little look. So it's Mark Allen versus Ronnie. Now Ronnie has been in all 4 finals of the Home Nations. Can he finally win one? Yes, he can. He beats Mark Allen 9-7 in the final. So there you go. Well, I suppose we'll look at the rankings now. So again, nothing happening there, but Ronnie O'Sullivan still leading the way, and it looks very similar at the top there. Neil Robertson still 400,000 behind Ronnie in the rankings. Nothing changing with the top 10 there. Lazowski there. Ali Carter definitely going up in terms of prize money. Look at Bracell, the one struggling in 16th, but Perry absolutely nowhere near to making that. McGill has moved up to 18th, which is interesting. Martin Gould up to 20th as well. So certain players are dropping down. Ricky Walden up to 28th. So some of the lower players are coming back. Look at that. Peter Ebden, 33 for him. So he's just outside the top 32 now. So he's having a decent time of it. Marco Fu back into the top 50. Crafty Ken up to 55. Nice to see. Nice to see. So just having a quick flick through. Jimmy White still 104 in the world. Championship League 5, Barry Hawkins versus Mark Allen, and it's Mark Allen that wins it 3-1. Snooker Championship League 6, it's going to be Ali Carter versus Dave Gilbert, so we're guaranteed to see some sort of different winner here, and it's Ali Carter, 3-0 he won that. So I think Ali Carter could be the next one to really surge up the rankings here. Snooker Shootout, who's going to get to the final of this? Could happen that we have some crazy names It doesn't usually happen, but it should. It's only a one-frame shootout. Judd Trump versus Mark Allen. Mark Allen wins it 1-0. Sean Murphy, biggest break there. Coral Players Championship then. Stephen Maguire. Wow, that is the sort of name I want to see in these finals versus Judd Trump. So Stephen Maguire, come on. No, doesn't manage it. 10-6 to Judd Trump. Now, the Gibraltar Open. Again, a format tournament. Judd Trump versus Ronnie. Judd Trump wins it. So Judd Trump having a real rich vein of form towards the end of this season. Robertson versus Ronnie. Now, Robertson won this last season and he wins it again, 9-7. He must be closing in on the rocket now for world number 1. Snooker Championship League 7. Wilson versus Maguire. Come on, Stephen. Oh, he doesn't manage it. 3-2. But Maguire is doing well. That is something to keep note of. Williams versus O'Sullivan in the Championship League. Williams wins it this year. So, China Open is coming up. Let's just have a check of the rankings. So, we'll just double check the 64. Make sure there's nothing untoward going on down here. Marco Fu up to 44 now. Interesting. Peter Ebden still 33. I don't think anything crazy is happening. Luca Brissell still 16th. Ali Carter up to 13th now. Look at this. He is gaining a lot of prize money and quickly. I think he's going to be into the top 10 before we know it. Stephen Maguire up to 11th after some good performances recently. Robertson 1.8, so he's so close to overtaking Mark Williams now. And, Ronnie still just slightly pulling away right now. So, China Open. Williams versus Robertson. So, this is basically the battle now of who is going to come out on top in second place before the World Championship. Which, remember, Ronnie O'Sullivan is the defending... that won the World Championship in Season 1. So, 500,000 is coming off very soon. Mark Williams wins at 10-4. World Championship qualifiers. Joe Perry gets the highest break in that. So here we go. Betfred World Championship, the big one. We'll look at the rankings just before we head into the World Championship. Ronnie O'Sullivan due to lose 500,000 if he doesn't do very well in this tournament. Mark Williams in second, 2 million. Neil Robertson has dropped down a bit. He must have been defending champion in China. Nothing else that interesting going on down there. So let's see the World Championship final. So it's Ronnie versus Mark. And Ronnie wins at 18-14. So he retains that 500,000 that we were talking about. And there you go. At the end of Season 3 then. That is the situation. We'll look at the rankings at the start of Season 4. Ronnie does actually lose a little bit of money. Not entirely sure why, but he has lost a little bit of money. I don't think anything else untoward has happened. Ali Carter's dropped down a little bit, so I wonder if he didn't have the best of World Championships. Stephen Maguire is 10th, interestingly enough. He's gone above Bingham. Don't think anybody has massively gained anything here. Peter Ebden, though, now on 102,000, so I wonder if he actually qualified for the Crucible and got 20 grand for his troubles. Very, very interesting. Right then, Kaspersky Riga Masters. So into Season 4 now, and we will see what goes on. So, first event of the season. Well, Gilbert makes the final here against Williams. Now, it is best of 7. Gilbert could do this, but he doesn't. Oh, it's best of 9, sorry. 5-4 to Mark Williams. That would have been a game changer. O'Sullivan versus Robertson. Now, Robertson wins the Yushan World Open. Interesting times. We will check it after the first Home Nations event. We'll have a good check of what's going on in all these tournaments. So, Paul Hunter Classic, second third ranked event of the season, sorry. Williams versus Trump. Williams wins it. First invitational event, so this doesn't have any impact on the rankings. Mark Allen wins it in a deciding frame, interestingly enough. Shanghai Masters, Mark Allen versus O'Sullivan, and Mark Allen wins again. Now, Allen is starting to feature a bit more in the tournament victories. Mark Williams versus Ronnie this time, and Ronnie wins it 5-0. China Championship, Ronnie versus Mark Williams. It does seem the big rivalry now in this game. Obviously, Robertson's not doing too badly either. And there you go, it's reflected there. But they are the real big three of this series. Williams wins that. So I'd be interested to see, once we have a look after this tournament, where Mark Williams is. Because Mark Williams has been very, very good this season so far. So let's have a little look at the rankings. Anything untoward going on down here? It doesn't look like it. Looking for key names. Doherty's up a place. Marco Fu up to 43 now, so he's continuing to make positions. Peter Ebden still 33 in the world. Luca Brasal still 16th. Lazowski down to 15th now. Ali Carter 14th. Murphy must have had a decent run, because he was down in 16th at one point in this save. Maguire still 10th, Gilbert 9th. Unfortunately, he hasn't quite broke into that top 8 yet. Unfortunately for him, that is. There's Neil Robertson. You can see, oh, look at that. Look how close it is. Ronnie has nearly been toppled by Mark Williams here. So here we go. International Championship, Allen versus Trump. Trump wins it 10-3. Champion of Champions, Williams versus Robertson. Williams wins it. Doesn't matter. It's a invitational event. So Northern Ireland Open, Higgins versus Williams. Now Higgins hasn't really been featuring too much. First Triple Crown event. Now, big thing to notice is that Ronnie hasn't been in good form, and Higgins again makes the final but doesn't quite make it. Neil Robertson with a 10-5 victory. So here we go. Let's have a look. Mark Williams has overthrown Ronnie O'Sullivan as number 1 in the world. Neil Robertson is now in a straight fight with Ronnie for number 2 in the world. Robertson just can't seem to get past 1.8 million. Higgins, interestingly enough, is pulling away from Kyron Wilson in 8th, and we'll hopefully see Higgins continue to improve. But Ali Carter still in 14th. So here we go. BetVictor Scottish Open then. Third Home Nations event. I know Mark Williams wins it. But Ronnie getting to the final. So now Mark Williams is the number 1. Wow. Championship League 1. Anthony McGill versus Mark Williams. And he loses it 3-0, but Anthony McGill getting that far is a very interesting result. Ronnie versus Dave Gilbert. Ronnie wins it. Daffabet Masters. Williams versus Ding. Williams wins it. Now, I can't remember who won the... it was Neil Robertson, I think, that won the Betway UK Championship. Now, Championship League 3. Maguire versus Robertson. Oh, 3-2 to Robertson. I feel like a little win in one of these tournaments can just give them the boost. Now, this is going to be interesting. Maguire or Wilson? Wilson wins it. Maguire is doing okay, though. He's doing really well. Ding versus Ronnie in the German Masters, and Ronnie wins it. I'm wanting to see different winners here. Robertson versus Ronnie in the Coral World Grand Prix. Ronnie wins it this time. So Ronnie roaring back now. And we'll have a quick look after the Welsh Open at what the rankings are looking like. Well, Ronnie's just beaten Mark in the Welsh Open final. Let's have a little look at what's going on. We'll have a little look lower down as well, see if anything crazy's happening. I mean, Rory McLeod has moved up to 61, I've noticed that. Crafty's still in the same place. Mark O'Fu's dropped down a bit. so many people are on similar amounts of prize money here. Peter Ebdon still 33, well ahead of Michael White in 34. And Martin Gould down to 23 now. Lou Haishan up to 20th. Mark King up to 17th. That's interesting. Luca Brissell still 16th. Cut off from the other guys, really. Maguire 10th. Wilson 9th. So Gilbert has moved above him. Ding Junhui in 6th. Ronnie O'Sullivan so close to overtaking Mark Williams again for world number 1. So here we go. Championship League 5. Trump versus Bingham. And Bingham wins it. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Is that going to be the start of his resurgence in this series? Trump versus Junhui. And Junhui wins it. Ding beating Trump by 3 frames to 0 there. Even though Trump got the high break. Snooker shootout then. Again, could be a tournament that goes the way of the underdog. Higgins versus O'Sullivan. And Higgins wins a tournament for the first time in a couple of years. Players' Championship now. Robertson versus Ronnie. Robertson wins it 10-1. Wow, what a performance that is. So Gibraltar Open, another short format tournament. Robertson versus Williams. And Robertson does it 4-2. It's just so interesting seeing the turn of events that can happen. So Ronnie is now back to number 1. Williams 2nd, Robertson 3rd. Trump has dropped out of the Million Club, interestingly, but nothing else really happening down below. To a championship then. Trump versus Williams. Williams wins it. That's going to help his cause, isn't it? Championship League 7, Trump versus Allen, and Allen wins it. So Trump is not in the Championship League winners. Williams versus Allen. Allen wins it 3-1. Good for Allen. China Open then. Big tournament this one. O'Sullivan versus Williams. O'Sullivan loses it 10-6 to Williams. So I think Williams will probably have overtaken Ronnie once again. Mark King getting the highest break there. Let's have a little look. So I think Williams will have overtook, and he has. Look at that. Look at that. 2.5 million he now has. Ronnie O'Sullivan 2 million. Neil Robertson in 3rd there. Ding Junhui in 6th. Gilbert is still in 8th. Maguire 10th. I would expect that Carter may well move above Sean Murphy, which is interesting. So World Championship, final one of this video. It's Higgins versus Williams. Williams wins it. That is going to make it insane in terms of the rankings. Let's have a little look at that. I'm tempted to do one more season. I think I will. So Williams, actually, he must have just retained the money that he had from a couple of years ago. You can see now Maguire has moved up to 9th. Wilson in 8th. Gilbert's dropped. I assume that must be because Gilbert maybe got to a semi-final or something a couple of seasons ago. Wow, there you go. Any big shocks? Doesn't look like it. Peter Ebdon still 33rd. Liang Wenbo now very, very close to number 33 in the world. Anyone dropped off the tour? Doesn't look like it. So let's go. Let's rattle through this 3rd season. And we'll see if anything crazy happens. I think we're going to see the big 3 continue to dominate. But there you go. Mark Allen versus Higgins. Neither of which are the big 3. And Higgins wins it. Maybe he's coming into form now. Williams versus Robertson, part of the big 3. Williams wins it. World number 1, pulling away once again. Interesting to see Gilbert got a 147 there. Ding Junhui doing well in that tournament. Mark Allen doing well there. Paul Hunter Classic. What we're looking at now. O'Sullivan Higgins. O'Sullivan wins. Six Red World Championship. Higgins versus Williams. Good. Higgins winning against Williams. Shanghai Masters. Allen versus Robertson. Robertson wins it 11-7. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Indian Open. Robertson versus Williams. Robertson wins it. So Robertson has such a good record in this save. I'm so surprised he's not doing better. We'll keep with our record of doing it after the first Home Nations event of the season. And we'll hopefully continue. Ronnie making a 147 there. So here we go. European Masters. Mark Williams and Mark Allen seem to be the big two this year. First Home Nations event. How's it going to go down? Higgins versus Ding. Higgins wins it. Brissell with a 147 in that tournament. So let's have a little look at the rankings. You'd expect that they will have changed just a little bit, at the very least. Yeah, you can certainly see some movement around about. You can see Ebden back in the 100,000 club. Zhao Guodong is very close to dropping out of that top 32. Ricky Walden up to 25, good to see. Joe Perry back at 17. Jack Lazowski now, the man on the cusp at 16th. Luca Brissell goes up. Ali Carter still 14th. Bingham 13th. Barry Hawkins, Murphy, Gilbert. Higgins, is that? Or is that Maguire? No, Maguire 9th. Wilson 8th. Ding 7th. Higgins 6th. So Higgins surging back up. Trump down to 5th now. Mark Allen in the top 4 in the Million Club. Robertson 1.6, O'Sullivan 1.8, and I think this is going to be disgusting. Mark Williams 2.6. I wonder if I should do Williams retiring next. Not sure. Ronnie wins that one 10-6, so Ronnie stealing some money back off Mark Williams. But Mark Williams is just so consistent in this save. Northern Ireland Open. O'Sullivan beats Mark Williams. First Triple Crown event, our second rankings luck point after this tournament, and it's Neil versus Ronnie. Neil's won it the last couple of years, and he wins it again, 10-8. Well played to Neil Robertson. So our second rankings check then. Mark Williams still 700,000 ahead of O'Sullivan. Robertson third comfortably. Nothing else really to report, apart from the fact Luca Brissell has gone back to 16th. Liang Wenbo now 33rd in the rankings. Here we go then. Another Home Nations event. Ronnie versus Williams wins it. German Masters. Now, Championship Leagues. McGill got the final last year. Anything surprising? Karen Wilson, I suppose. But Mark Williams just seems to be a winning machine at the moment. And Ronnie is the second to progress. Dafabet Masters. Allen versus Wilson. Allen wins it. So Mark Allen wins his second Masters title. Maguire versus Robertson. Robertson wins. But Maguire is a name that we've seen feature a lot in this episode so far. Mark Allen winning that one. German Masters. Robertson versus Ronnie. Ronnie wins 9-4. Coral World Grand Prix. Ronnie defending champion. He's not going to win it this year though. Mark Allen wins it. So, final check before the World Championships. Mark Williams versus Neil Robertson, and Williams wins it. So, it's all very curious. Let's have a look at what we've got. Williams is leading the way, 600 thou ahead of O'Sullivan. Robertson and Allen still in the Million Club. Nothing really changing here in season 5. It's a bit disappointing. Hawkins versus Murphy in this final. Hawkins wins it 3-2. very interested to see how those two made it there. Trump versus Higgins, well done. Now then, shootout. I always say this. Could throw up a surprise result. I bet you it's Williams and O'Sullivan in the final though. That's Allen versus Higgins. And what do you know? What do you know? Allen wins the shootout. Players' Championship. Williams versus Trump. Williams wins again. Williams has been the big dominant force. O'Sullivan Gilbert in a Gibraltar Open final. Gilbert reaches another ranking final, but cannot beat the Rocket. Crazy. Tour Championship. Robertson versus Williams, and Williams wins again. He has got to be closing in on the 3 million club here. This is dominant. Higgins versus Ding. Higgins wins. Now then, Championship League winners. O'Sullivan versus Williams. O'Sullivan wins. So China Open, big tournament of course. Williams versus O'Sullivan again. Williams wins it. He has won 3 China Opens in a row. Let's just have a little look at what effect that has on the rankings. 2.9 million. You can see so close to the 3 million club. Ronnie still clinging on to the 2 million club with Robertson and Allen there. Higgins now up to 5 instead of Trump. So Trump is in a bit of free fall here. Gilbert moves back up to 9th. Murphy in 11th now, which is interesting. Carter 14th. Perry 17th still. And nothing else really to report there. So Betfred World Championship qualifiers. Liu Haishan gets the high break. So here's the World Championship. Mark Williams once again makes the final and wins it 18-10. Is he now in the 3 million club? I don't think it'll update until we move on. But there you go, season 5 completed. 24-25 season. Well, we'll have a big look at the ranks because I don't think we're going to continue the Mark Selby experiment after this. So this will be the last little look we have at all of these. See if you can spot anything untoward. Crafty up to 54 again. Very good. Peter Ebden down to 36. So, yeah, he mustn't have qualified for the World Championship this year. Anything? No, nothing really interesting. Look at Brissell, bottom of the 16 there. Bingham down to 13th. Murphy into the top 10. Must have had a good Worlds. Gilbert 8th. Decent amount of prize money. Ding 7th. Higgins 6th. Trump 5th. Mark Allen 4th. But look at that. Wow. Mark Williams 3.2 million. Ronnie less than half of Mark Williams's prize money. That is a picture that is completely terrifying. And just for fun, we will have a look at what happens in the first event of the season and see if we do see a crazy result. I very much doubt it. But there you go. O'Sullivan versus Trump. And we can just have a little look at Yushan as well. So O'Sullivan's won the first 2 events of the season, but that is not going to really have much of an effect. He's still just over halfway to Mark Williams. Trump back into the million club. But that is that. That's where we're going to leave it for this episode. This experiment with Mark Selby being the man that is retired. I think next time we will start with the Rocket, who is number 1. Obviously at the start of this game we will retire Ronnie O'Sullivan, and we'll see what would happen if that was the case. Would Mark Selby feature as much as the likes of Trump and Higgins have, for instance? It'll be really interesting, I think. Really, really interesting. So I hope you join me for that in the next episode. If you have enjoyed this episode, then make sure you leave a like down below. It really does help me out. Means a lot to me as well. Subscribe to the channel for regular Snooker 19 experiments, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.